Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Booze and BJJ Podcast. After Hours edition, I guess you could say. It's October 30th, 2021. We got a three-person panel today, including myself. With us, we have Oluwole and our good friend, Frankie. Oluwole, everybody knows you. You've been on before.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and tell us what you're drinking tonight.
I am drinking gin and lemonade, which I have pretty much finished because these kids are driving me up the wall.
No, yeah, I understand that. Before we get to Frankie, I just want to point out I am still going to try this Peruvian rum or Panamanian rum. Is it Peruvian or Panamanian?
Is that a shout out to our sponsors?
No, it's just that this stuff was good and I want to try it again. It's Panamanian rum. I'm going to try this again. And Frankie, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know what you're drinking. And
I'm Frankie. I've been training martial arts for about 7 to 8, 9 years. On and off at BJJ. Did Muay Thai about 7, 8 years. And yeah, I'm drinking some whiskey. Stuff is great.
Nice.
with ice. That's all you need.
yeah,
You're a purist, I see.
Yes, I don't like messing with other stuff.
yeah. So Wale and I had an interesting training session today. We had a promotion ceremony that was done in a very distinct way. And Wale, if you want to go over that and how your week of training went.
Yeah. So I had a pretty good week this week. Hold on. So I did Noki on Thursday, and then the training session today, the promotion. I really like the format of the promotion. So it's basically whoever's getting promoted. It's what do you call that?
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. So whoever's getting promoted is down on the mat, and then they start out with white belts, go up against them, then blue belts, purple, and it keeps going high. And it's nonstop. So yeah, I felt good going up against the folks. So yeah.
Who did you go up against?
Corey.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, our good friend Corey, when I started, was a 2 or 3 stripe blue belt. And when I got my purple belt, he was still a blue belt. And it was a little bit strange, but he finally got his purple tonight, and we're pretty happy for him. The whole
long overdue.
Yeah. The Justice for Corey movement had been picking up steam. So Frankie, how is your week going?
Busy. I haven't been training much, but I'm gonna start training this week. I'm still a white belt, 2 stripe. I've been on and off with jiu-jitsu. What really caught my attention was Masasugi.
Yeah.
The Sugi, over the years, I trickled into jiu-jitsu, and nobody really caught my attention until Sugi came around. And then once I started seeing him actually roll and him teaching, I was like, okay, let's do this. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on. But hopefully I'll start seeing Masasugi to Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Not good. Yeah.
So you'll see me there, hopefully a lot more.
So
because things are slowing down at my work and whatnot.
Oh, good. For those of you who don't know, Frankie and I trained pretty regularly for a while, and me and him were the 2 big guys in class. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Rolling around with you has been like an experience. It's really like you teach me a lot of things. You're like, hey man, calm down, blah blah. But then like I pick things up, and then we're just having a good old time, man.
Yeah.
And I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, there's people that you can roll with, and there's people that you can roll with and laugh at the same time. And you've always been one of those folks that I could roll and laugh at the same time. Like I've never felt like you were gonna rip my head off while we were rolling.
No, I try not to because
Yeah.
With the Muay Thai background, I was like, okay, let me just relax because especially in sparring and whatnot, and with the new guys, or like, but now it's like, all right, like I can trust you. I trust Thomas. I trust everybody, or like the higher belts and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think I rolled with Wale at all. Maybe once, maybe.
Yeah, maybe once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm still that white belt. I still have. I feel like oh shoot, I'm overdoing something or not doing enough and whatnot. So.
And for our listeners, in one of the previous podcasts, I brought up a story where Master Sugi was sparring during an open mat doing Muay Thai, and everybody stopped and watched what was going on. The other party there was Frankie. So,
yes, but there is a time where Master Sugi just caught me out of the blue. It was great, man. I was just waiting there for my class to start, which was Muay Thai, and he comes walking across the gym, and he goes, "Hey, man, you spar?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, do you want to do a little light sparring?" Well, he was reeling me in, and he goes,
Never trust Sugi when he says
no.
light sparring.
Well, he was doing light, and he's like, "Oh, do you have shin guards?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, do you have a mouthpiece?" "Yeah." He goes, "Let's fully suit up." I was like, "Okay." This spar session went out for 25 minutes straight. Towards the end of that, we were pretty banged up.
Yeah, like
we had to be stopped because it was going to keep going.
I don't know if you noticed, but literally everybody on the grappling side of the mat just literally stopped and watched.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like watching, I don't know how to describe it, like a rare event, like an aurora borealis, like lighting on fire or something. But
at his time, his striking wasn't as good, but as he was training for his fight, it got really clean, really crisp, and man, he was laying some heavy shots.
Oh yeah. Just a little background, his one MMA fight, was it like 2 years ago, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, 3 years.
Everybody was expecting like some immaculate, like high level grappling, and then it lasted like 32 seconds or so, and all he did was punch the guy out.
Yeah,
and
it's just the way he is, man. It's just the way he trains. It's just constant 100%, man. This week we'll go 3 hours sparring and 100%, 100%, and it's like Jesus. But you have that Muay Thai mentality: don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. But he's making you give up.
Yeah,
he's breaking your spirit.
Yeah, I've told the story before. One time I was just standing there, and he goes, "Tom, do you do any boxing?" I was like, a little bit, years and years ago. And he hands me a pair of boxing gloves. That was it. That was an experience in itself. Like, first punch hits me right here in the forehead. But anyways, so Wale, during that Shark Tank earlier, did you feel bad for anybody? Because I know I felt bad for some people.
I mean, yeah, I was watching. I felt bad for everybody as it progressed, because you could see that they were progressively, gassing out. And it's just like, you don't want to be gassed out when you're going up against black belts and like brown belts. That's not fun. Even a black belt just toying with you when you're gassed out it's not a fun feeling. But I mean, I think they all held their own. It was really good. Like they all deserve their promotions. It's been a while. I especially like that Kathy got hers. I know she's been at it for a while also. Yeah.
Kathy's an interesting case because she's like that rare breed that's mentally tough, physically tough, but also like super pleasant personality wise. Like she doesn't exude any kind of aggression at all. So like the first time I saw her in a Shark Tank where she was down on the mat for more than 2 or 3 rounds, I was like, okay, I got it. She's gonna stick with this. She's in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
But
and I had to give it up for Michaela, because we were rolling, after the Shark Tank and stuff. She's been trying to hit the butterfly guard on me for the longest time, but she's just like, "Oh, you're too heavy." But today it was like a super clean butterfly. Butterfly sweep. It was a super clean one. She I got some airtime, and you know her. She's like what? I don't know.
She's like
120 pounds,
pounds
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have like 100 pounds on her. And I was like, that's what I've been telling her this whole time. You can get it. You can get the butterfly sweep on anyone if you have the momentum.
There's also one little detail that she always misses with the butterfly sweep, and I forget to tell her every single time. So I wonder if she figured that out today. That would be
Maybe.
interesting. Yeah.
Real quick.
What's wrong?
Say nothing. So let's say hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
You know,
All right, let
you
me.
know- sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll be back. Yeah,
Okay.
put the kids
Oh,
to
sure.
sleep.
You know who that reminds me of?
Who's that?
Remember Katie, that DC cop?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went back to Harvard or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a beast, man. She was nasty.
Katie was the first she was the first person that I practiced with that consistently tried like arm bars out of nowhere. Just any position, she would try to get an arm bar on me. And it got to the point where I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I let her try and like just stood up, like, just stood straight up. And that's when she actually caught me with it. I was like, okay, that was a dumb idea. But yeah, man, she was a little bear trap. Like if she caught your arm, she's gonna arm bar you.
Yeah.
But she was maybe 110 pounds.
Yeah, like around 110. Like I think she was trying to compete, but we couldn't find nobody around that weight class for Muay Thai. But she had good striking too, man. She lit me up a couple times, man. And I'm a big guy. I'm like, when I'm in shape, I'm like 220,
Right.
So
yeah, when you were in shape, you were about 220. When I was trying to get in shape, like 220, 230.
Yeah.
That was fun because you were actually athletic enough to keep up with me, even though there was like a skill difference.
Yeah.
But half the time, if I had to go like all out with you, I would have been dead.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not about the how long I can last, because I can last for a pretty good minute, like when I'm rolling with Sugi, it's just the pain, the pressure. My cardio is good. I mean, when I'm in shape. It was good, but the pressure, because there's been times where you got me, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, but I don't pour on the pressure like Suki does. I intentionally like throttle it back a little bit because I want people to keep rolling with me.
Yeah.
When I poured it on 100%, or about my second year, I noticed that it was hard for me to find people to roll with.
Yeah.
Everybody would just spread like the Red Sea and avoid me.
Yeah.
So that's when you're a heavier guy in a gym, that's one of the things that you have to mitigate, in my opinion.
Yeah, like at Chantilly, man, just those big guys, and I'm always with the biggest. I'm like, please give me like a small guy just for one round, just so I can like at least rest, because those big guys, man, they're putting. I don't know if they're like off with Frankie's head kind of mentality, but
no, they're just happy to have somebody that they can that they can roll with. You can take it. This is gonna be fun,
Yeah, and I love it, and I love it there, man. It's just they were so like nice and humble and blah blah blah. It's just like respect and whatnot.
Yeah. Like they're not trying to hurt anybody.
No. But when it's competition, getting ready for a competition, those boys turn on. It's like, all right, let's go.
They pour it on, and having a 290-pound Mongolian coming after you is frightening.
It is, man.
It is frightening, especially since said 290-pound Mongolian is a Mongolian wrestling champ.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, you're like, oh, these guys are all white belts. Nope. They're world champs.
They're national champs in Mongolian wrestling. But yeah, the first time what's the big one that doesn't wear the glasses? Is his name Amkalan? Or
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they have weird, man. I just wish I could give them like all letters or something because their names are so hard to pronounce.
yeah, I think it's Amkalan, or that's his
Yeah,
last name or something.
yeah,
Yeah, he keeps when he's feeling good, he's like, "Oh, Tom, stand up," and I'm like, no."
yeah, yeah.
It's like, I know what
Yeah.
you're trying to do.
Yeah. You know who I underestimated? Hunter. I never thought Hunter would be that good, and I would never rolled with Hunter.
Yeah.
And then I got with Hunter, and I was like, "Oh man, this is a mistake."
Hunter is actually a wrestling coach.
Yeah, so I found that out. Then I was like, "Oh shoot, I just made the biggest mistake of my life."
And he's strong AF.
Yes.
If you get what I mean. Like,
Yes.
I've always had to watch out for him because he could simply just overpower me. And there's not a lot of people who can do that.
Mhm.
But the last time I rolled with him, he just overpowered me. There wasn't anything I could do. And he hit me with a bread cutter choke after that too. And I was like, okay, you are getting better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think he's still around. He just commented on a couple of messages of mine, but I haven't seen him at the gym. Well, I haven't even been at the gym, so when I'm there,
I haven't seen him in a couple months, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's I don't know if he's still training a lot. Maybe he's held it back a little bit because I know he had gotten married recently.
Yeah.
But man, I remember I had to coach him at a grappling industries competition.
And
he's like, Tom, come coach me. I was like, sure. All right, got you. The moment he stepped on the mat, his face turned something completely different. Like that friendly, sociable Hunter completely vanished. It was like he went full ultra instinct, super Sith on me. I got intimidated. I was just like, oh.
You have to, man. You have to, because that other person is gonna is trying to hurt you, man.
Yeah. Like and he had maybe five or six matches, and he steamrolled everybody. Like the one dude who looked like he had a wrestling background as well. No chance. Not even close. What were you gonna say?
What wasn't he like national champ or number one national champ or something for BJJ for some? I forget. He posted about something about that he was like number one or something like that.
He was the number one white belt according to something, and I can't remember what it was.
I gotta go back into the messages and look at it.
Yeah, but that Hunter.
Oh,
like little not big Hunter, not Army Hunter. Little Hunter. Yeah, we were just talking about him.
High school wrestler Hunter.
High school wrestler Hunter.
Yeah.
Or high school wrestling coach Hunter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing how like so many people could be a white belt in BJJ, but like a high level grappler and something else.
Like Nazar.
Nazar.
Whoa, guys.
So
every time
deadly, man. Deadly.
Every time I rolled with him, I knew that he could just flip a switch and murder me in an instant.
Yeah.
But he never did.
No, that's why we call him Drago, like Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
We call him Drago because this man can literally kill you.
Yeah.
He's so nice, man. He's so nice.
Did he do Sambo or something like that?
So he did boxing back in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I think wrestling and but I remember Nazar when he first came in, he would always try to with a polo for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It was like sparring like Muay Thai and polo every time. And then he disappeared and he came back and then he stopped that whole polos thing. But it was pretty cool. But
so he'll fight in a polo or just come into the gym
train and spar in a polo.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There was another Ukrainian kid a couple of years ago who did that same thing. He'd wear a polo under his gi.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that was him.
But I never understood what that was. I just thought he just didn't have a shirt.
It's a Ukraine thing, man. You know?
Apparently.
So funny story about Nazar. I was at Springfield Mall in the food court a couple years ago, completely not supposed to be there. And I was eating sushi and trying to be sneaky, like, nobody knows me right now. There's nobody who can tell on me. Oh, this is great. And next thing I know, some dude in a black leather jacket walks in front of me, sits down and stares at me. And then somebody else walks up from behind me and puts their arm around me. I was like, what the hell am I getting robbed? Turn around and look, it's Nazar. And he's sitting there like grinning at me. I was like, oh, hi.
We had an encounter. We had an encounter at the mall. Remember that one time?
Oh yeah, I also ran into you at Springfield Mall.
You're running everybody at Springfield Mall.
Yeah, dude. I was in the kids' court with my sons. I saw Frankie and his daughter walk by. I was like, hey, Frankie.
How old's your daughter now? Like 14, 15?
Yeah,
right?
14. She's she just turned 13.
Yeah.
She's about, yeah. She's big, man. AB honor roll, man. She's pretty smart.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Man, they grow up so fast, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she like corrected me on something last time I saw her.
Yeah.
They're talking about something. She's like, well, actually, Mr. Tom. And I'm like, you know what? I think she's right.
She's smarter than you.
You know what? That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, gentlemen, this rum is really good. So,
so I saw it in your last podcast. I kind of want to try it now.
Actually, you can have the bottle. If I finish this, there's something really wrong with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, so let's get on to the main topic before we get too further in. When did you all notice your own progression in BJJ? At what point did it click? And we'll start with Wale.
Oh man. I want to say like maybe a couple of months into my blue belt is when it kind of clicked. Like for the longest time, as a white belt, a lot of it just kind of felt like going through the motions, and you come to class, it's a different technique every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a couple of months after my blue belt, and like maybe after like a competition I actually won, I kind of got a bit more confidence, and it just felt like things were kind of coming into place, Yeah, it's yeah, I would say probably then.
Cool. Frankie, go ahead and answer, and then I'll give my input.
I think when I was in Chantilly, I started, since I was going more often.
Mm-hmm.
I just started noticing I had more technique, more of an approach to things. Because when I was at like Pentagon, I just did whatever and whatnot. But then once I got to Chantilly, it was more of like, okay, let me not do these things and let me change this up. So, and I started getting better and better and better. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I think that's when I started seeing the big difference.
Do you think that was because you were doing both Muay Thai and BJJ at that time?
For some reason, I don't know. Once I hit Chantilly, that whole mentality, it's just straight up BJJ, There was no Muay Thai involved and whatnot. And then Master Sugi actually took his time and showed me a couple things, and he's like, do this, and try this. And so I practiced it, and I was like, okay. And I started getting better and better and better. I'm like, okay. So there were some things I was like, I was mastering in it. I was starting to master in it. And then I think that's where it all became, because at Pentagon, it was Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. Now it's just straight up Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I started with Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, and it's just like I was not progressing in either one. I just made the decision I'm just gonna go full on Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did either of you start to notice that the techniques that you used ended up becoming like almost as if you didn't have to explicitly think about executing them? It just kind of like fit into place like a puzzle piece. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when my whole mentality was like, okay, I gotta get an arm bar, I gotta get someone's neck, I gotta make someone tap out, you know. Now it's not that. Now it's like, okay, let me give these lures out, you know, and then try to go for it instead of rushing through things, then, you know. And like I said, Master Sugi just took his time with me a little bit more and showed me a couple more things.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me it was kind of like, for me, I overthought things. So it's like I'm in the middle of a technique and I'm thinking in my head, okay, I need to do this, the next I need to do that. So it's very choppy, you know, my technique was very choppy. But you know, once you do things over and over again and you know, and you get that timing down, then it's a lot much smoother.
Yeah.
Because for me, one of the things I love to do is like hit the scissor sweep, especially like, you know, especially with white belts, because they sit up tall. You have them in your guard, they sit up tall. As soon as you do, I hit the scissor sweep. You know, and I don't even really think about it. I don't really even think about like, oh, I need to do this, put my leg across, put my foot down, grab the collar. It just all comes together.
So for me, I think it was probably the middle of blue belt. I started noticing that every movement that I was doing was extremely deliberate. You know, whether I was baiting my opponent or a training partner to get them to move a specific way, or setting them up for something. You know, like kind of like a bait and switch constantly like that. And also I started noticing my perception of what was going on started to get a little bit more refined. So I could see how someone's positioned, and then I started to automatically think about what I could do from there. You know, oh, his arm is across his body. Well, if I drag it over here, I could do a flower sweep. I could reach around, grab his lat, and then start to take his back, et cetera, et cetera. So my economy of motion and my perception seemed to just increase, or rather, my perception seemed to increase in regard to what my options were. And then my economy of motion started to get a little bit more refined. Like I felt like I was wasting energy a lot less. Yeah. And I think a very good example of that, and the reason why I wanted Kadeem on, because I wanted to talk to him about our role from earlier this morning. Like Kadeem is what, 20 years, about close to 15 to 20 years younger than me, far more athletic. And he just had a moment and he was going after me. And it wasn't aggressive. It was very technical. And I give him all the credit in the world. That man has improved a lot, but it was a lot of speed, a lot of just, athleticism, but it was starting to get deliberate. And what clicked for me was how I reacted in that moment. You know, I could see what he was doing. I knew what my options were. I knew how I could counter him, and I did it. And with that age difference, that's where I see the value in jiu-jitsu, because any other, in any other scenario, he would have wrecked me, simply because, the age difference, the athleticism difference. On paper, he had all the advantages, but strictly just where I'm at and how I'm comfortable with my where I'm at with jiu-jitsu, it helped me over the hump, so to speak. Yeah. And I also go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think also another thing that's helpful is, once you've been in jiu-jitsu for a while, you start to know your body, and you start to know like where your body is relative to space and where your body is relative to your opponent. And you also start to recognize cues. If your opponent's doing X, then they're probably going for a choke, and then I need to defend that. Mm-hmm. So you start thinking ahead in that sense. And then that's what really ups your game. That's what really helps you get to that next level. And then, but for me as an older guy, I have that in a sense, but it's just the speed and the timing that's something that I need to refine.
Mm-hmm. Speed and timing on your part, or your
on my part,
yeah. Well, you can buy yourself time with a good old stiff arm.
Yeah. My game, a lot of my game is pressure, like pressure passing. I like doing the whole pressure game just because it slows those younger guys down, and it gives me time to think. But I also want to kind of pick up my athleticism, so I don't have to rely on that so much.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do with the bigger guys, like Frankie, and I haven't figured out how to apply it to you yet because you're a new bigger guy, and there's a story behind that. But whenever Frankie would try something, and I'm playing guard, I would just stiff arm the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like just try to keep him away, so I can figure out what the heck I'm gonna do. Because Frankie is like a freaking juggernaut. Like,
so yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm good.
No. Yeah, like I'm a big guy, and I was always thinking about strength. I'm gonna just He-Man these people. I'm just like, because I have those mechanic hands and whatnot, and I've been turning wrenches for who knows how long. So it's like very, very tight. Good. Exactly. So I stopped that because I started noticing Sugi because when I spar with Sugi, it's like he doesn't give you space to breathe. So I'm like, okay, let me try this now. So now I started doing that, not giving it any space to breathe, very on top of you, not using a lot of strength, but using my weight to like try to suffocate, like get into like make people get uncomfortable where they screw up.
Yeah. I like that kind of game. It's all about making them uncomfortable, all about the whole pressure. Because you can tell when you have that pressure on someone and they just like let out their last breath.
Yeah.
And then that's just like, okay, now it's time for me to work. Now it's time for me to start thinking about what I'm going to do next. What are my next moves?
So
I can't do the pressure thing to Thomas though. He's too...
Why not?
Because I try and you're like, nope, you're not doing that on me. So try again, kid.
Yeah, I've with rolling with Sugi, even though I haven't really rolled with him much recently. There's a few things I've realized with pressure passing and how to counter it. So I'm not gonna let those secrets out right now, but Frankie, I'll show you some things this week on that. But
all right.
Yeah, so getting around pressure passing was something that I really wanted to do, especially early on, because when I was heavier, if a pressure passer put too much pressure on my stomach, on my gut, or my lungs, just because because I have asthma, all that pressure compresses my lungs. So it became not only extremely uncomfortable, it became extremely hard to breathe, to the point where somebody like Sugi, who can apply pressure, to a very specific spot, he could cause my lungs to completely just not be able to inhale. So he would effectively tap me out, not by pressure, but by simply for the fact that I couldn't breathe. So it became very important for me to figure out how to mitigate that. And now that I'm in a lot better shape and I can actually move around, I figured out little ways to keep a pressure passer at bay so that they can't apply their full pressure to me, but at the same time, I can try to get out of it. So it's like playing human chess. Okay, I know you're going to do this. How can I avoid it or get out of it?
All right, dude, we're rolling next time.
Huh?
We're rolling next time I see you.
Okay.
I want to see this. I want to see this counter of yours.
Well, it's not a specific counter. It's a set of mini counters. It keeps me from being flattened, and it keeps me from allowing you to apply your pressure to me. And it's the way that I counter the two big Mongolian wrestlers at Chantilly.
Yeah.
Oh, they hate it. It's hilarious. But that's how I've been testing all those concepts. It's just by rolling with them. And it seems to be working pretty well. I haven't really tried it against Sugi recently, but I imagine it'll go just like normal. He laughs, smacks it away, and then continues to crush me. So
yeah, so I gotta make it out to Chantilly sometime again. Yeah,
I think everybody should just once in their life.
You know, I'm a POS of that, because literally Chantilly is literally maybe like not even half a mile from my job.
Your garage, the dealership you work at is like about half a mile, if that.
So you're there full time now?
Yeah, because that's all I'm training.
And you're doing full time? Oh, yeah, full time BJJ.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I stopped going to Pentagon.
Hey Frankie, you want this bottle?
I'll take it.
You'll take it?
So Katrina was rolling today during the promotion class. Yeah, I was asking her, are you gonna come over to the BJJ session? She was like, no, but she's dipping her toe in.
Yeah, I had to grip fight with her.
I know, and she kept on clinching. I was like, I do not want to be in your clinch.
No. So she trained at Master Dollars for a good minute. And she did something there, but she messed up her Achilles tendons, and then she stopped BJJ, and then Master Dollar sent her down to Pentagon to train with us down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she won all those amateur fights, and then she became a pro after that. I think she has a pro.
She started up.
Yeah,
I didn't realize she started up BJJ.
Yeah, or something like that. I think she's done Muay Thai for a good minute, but I think she did BJJ for a good minute too. I think she got like 2 stripes of don't quote me on that, but I think, but so I think she's gonna have a fight pretty soon here.
Like a Muay Thai fight or an MMA fight?
Muay Thai fight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Master Dollars, I've been going there on Fridays just for their open mat, not all the time. And he had a blue belt there, this 26-year-old guy that wrecked not just me, but he wrecked like 2 or 3 of the brown belts there. Wow. And I had to roll with him again to see if there was something wrong with me. I was like, am I getting sick? Like, how did this happen? So
when's their open mat on Fridays?
Friday at 7:30.
What time?
7:30.
Oh, man, it's movie night.
Yeah. It's Friday movie night for everybody, because I know it's Chris's movie night too.
Well, maybe I could do like once a month. But I definitely have to go out to Dallas and Chantilly, and
I heard Testudo opened up again. I was going to
Testudo.
I was going to ask Irvin if his open mat on Sundays is still open, or if they've closed it off to just members only.
Yeah.
So funny story about Master Dollar, how I actually met him.
What did you do?
Actually, no, I didn't do that. It was nothing bad. I was at a party and at one of my trainer's house, and I'm talking to the guy, not knowing who the hell this guy is, and we're just chit-chatting and whatnot, and blah blah blah. I meet his wife, meet his kids. I'm like, okay, cool. And then towards the end of the night, they're like, so what are you and Master Dollar talking about? I'm like, who's Master Dollar? It's like the guy that you were just talking to. I was like, well, so who is he? He was like, oh, he's like the head honcho of the Big Brothers thing. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he trained Master Sugi. He trained almost everybody that we know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he basically trained almost everybody in this area.
yeah. And they were like, it looked like you knew him for like many years. I was like, nah, I was just having a conversation with the guy. That's what it was. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
I have a similar story, somewhat like that, but with Ryan Hall.
Oh.
So I was out at Sharpshooters, the gun range in Lorton down the road.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy with a shoyo roll hoodie on. So I was like, oh, he does jujitsu. And I walk over, I introduced myself. It was kind of awkward because he turned around and he was like, who is this guy? And I was like, hey, I train at Pentagon MMA. I do jujitsu. Do you jujitsu too? And he was like, yes, I do. Nice to meet you. And then he walks off. I was like, huh, okay. I had no clue this guy was Ryan Hall.
Wow.
So I'm talking to my buddy Joe, who works there, and he trains at 50-50. And he's like, oh yeah, Ryan's coming. I was like, Ryan? Like, what Ryan? He goes, Ryan Hall. I was like, oh, Ryan Hall's coming. I was like, sweet, I'll hang out and, I'd like to meet the guy. So I'm sitting there talking to my buddy Joe. About 10 minutes later, the same dude walks in with like an entourage. And I was like, oh, and then it clicked. I was like, I hope this isn't Ryan Hall, right? Long story short, it was Ryan Hall.
Oh no.
And he walks over and he's like, oh, hey, you do jujitsu. And he shakes my hand, gives me a hug. And we start talking with, chit-chatting with Joe. And it was just funny. I completely didn't connect the dots about who this guy was. And he was like, yeah, come over to my gym. It'll be great. And second story about Ryan Hall. So I went to a Jeff Glover seminar at 50-50, right? Not knowing where this gym was. So I get over there and I think at first I recognized the area. I was like, oh, this looks like where my mom's church is. And, the building that 50-50 is in, there's a church in the upper level on the other side of the gym. So I was like, oh crap, did I put in the wrong address? Because I thought maybe I clicked my mom's church's address and it was Waze was taking me there. But no, I was like, oh, this is where 50-50 is. I need to be careful so that, the pastor of the church doesn't see me. So I snuck in, did the seminar, and snuck out. And then a little while later, I get a message from one of my cousins. Oh, Pastor so-and-so said he saw you sneaking around and he was wondering.
And he does jiu-jitsu too.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all. That would be funny, actually. So, but yeah, it's funny how like small this community is still. Like you can meet somebody high level, have a conversation with them, and completely not know who they are. So
yeah,
they did I was watching a YouTube video where they broke down of the percentage of jiu-jitsu and one. It was pretty cool. I'll probably share that link with you. Where it's like, here are white belts, and then here are blue belts, and then it goes smaller and smaller and smaller, and how small that community is, but you don't know anybody,
Yeah. So, I mentioned this on the last podcast. Me and Jordan entered a competition thinking that our bracket would be, significant, like at least 4 guys, us 2, maybe 2 more, maybe 3 more. And when the final bracket came out, it was just me and him. So we were like, well, we train together periodically. Why would we want to just spend the money just to fight each other? So we asked for a credit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have something against that, like fighting a teammate or fighting like someone you train with?
I don't, but I know how that outcome would have came.
Yeah, I don't. I just, when I go to a competition, it's a different mindset than when I'm in the gym. So it's just, I feel like if I have to go against somebody that I train with at a competition, that's gonna like mess up my mindset. But I don't mind doing it if last resort I have to, then I will. But it's just can get messy.
Yeah, I see. That's my thing. I'd rather not do it. Like, here, you take the W. I'm not gonna spar with you, or I'm not gonna fight you, because I care about you.
Yeah. Well,
that's my mentality.
In this particular instance, we all know who would have won. Cough, cough, Jordan, cough.
You would have crushed him.
Totally. Thomas.
Here? No.
Yeah, you would have.
No, I'm mad enough to say that Jordan has my number. So, yeah, like judo, hands down him. Jiu-jitsu, hands down him. Handsomeness, hands down me. No, I'm the pretty.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sign up for a competition like early next year. Get back into that.
Yeah, I think the one that I wanted to do next was the Baltimore Open. Not Baltimore Open. I have the flyer around here. It's like the Baltimore Jiu-Jitsu something.
When is it?
It was in December. Yeah. Either that or Grappling Industries in January.
Yeah. I kind of want to compete too, get in one of those. But I gotta lose some weight first. We're gonna work on that.
Yeah, we can work. So Frankie, you said you had some you said you had some questions you wanted to run by us?
Okay, so my here's a couple things, man. This has been going on for a couple months. This is going to masters and crew and whatnot. So I've noticed some people call like Master Sugi, they call them just Sugi. And some people that's like, oh, you shouldn't call them masters, you should call them professors. It's like in Muay Thai, like Master
crew.
Chun. We don't use master. They like crew better because that's their form of respect. But every time I see these guys, I'm like master.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on that? Like, how do you guys see that?
Well, so question, why do people say you shouldn't use it? Or why do you think people say you shouldn't use it?
They got different opinions and whatnot, all between like masters and crew. Like Masugi, I like that time where he all kneeled us down in front of his gym. He said, "Oh yeah, refer to me as master," and I think that's a form of like, okay, showing the respect. But then there's other people like, oh, you shouldn't call a jiu-jitsu master. You should call them professor because it's a different kind of like art or something like that. And like crew Chun, like, oh, you don't call him master, they're like crew,
Yeah. So I kind of struggle with that a bit. I think that I've settled on coach for a lot of folks. I don't think it's necessarily just for BJJ, but just for like martial arts, coach, because it's like I still do call him Master Sugi. And I think for me, it's just a level of respect, and it's a level of recognizing their skill level. And because he is my coach, I will call him Master Sugi. Other coaches, I would probably just call them coach. Yeah.
So I have an interesting take on it, because I also kind of had that question, like, who do I call professor? Who do I call master? Who do I call coach? So in general, if I don't train under you directly a lot, I'm going to call you coach. If for some reason you call yourself professor and I don't train under you, I'm going to call you professor. If you are so high level that it's probably impossible for me to catch up with you skill wise, I will call you master.
So like a good example is Master Dala. You don't train under him, but you still call him Master Dala just because like he's your coach's coach,
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like a 6th, 7th degree black belt in
belt,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty high up there.
Yeah, he's like my coach's coach. He's high ranking, like super high ranking.
Yeah.
He is basically Grandmaster. I don't want to say Yoda, but Grandmaster Yoda of this Jedi Order.
Mhm.
I'm calling you master.
It's I mean, like, for example, Christian, right? I wouldn't call him master. I'll call him coach, just because it's like, to me, he's new to training us. But like Master Sugi, I'll call him Master Sugi because like I've trained under him for several years. Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to, it also comes down to like what the person wants you to call them. It's complicated, but I think like Thomas was saying, I kind of follow the same mentality. If I train under you and I've trained under you for several years, I'll call you master. But if you're kind of like the secondary coach, I'll call you coach or professor.
Yeah. I don't really think that there's any kind of formal terminology usage there. I think it's up to whatever you feel is reasonable and whatever your instructor wants, because I know that there's some instructors that say, don't call me coach, don't call me professor, don't call me instructor, and you damn well better not call me master.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying also, I think there's also I think upbringing also kind of plays into this.
Yeah.
But for me, people who are kind of teachers of position of power, I don't call them by their first name. Like, that's just the way I've been raised. Even like my daughter's teachers, I would say like Miss so and so or Miss. I never call them by their first name. So it's I think also that plays into it. Like, I would never call one of the coaches by their first name, or else they insist that I do that. I will always add on coach or something in front of that to show that level of respect.
My first class, I referred to Sugi as Sensei Damden, and he was like, no. Call me Sugi. I'm like, oh, okay. Permission.
Yeah, I go based off like you, Thomas. Like, if I trained under you for a long time, but the line of respect, like even when I see these guys in public, Master Sugi, Master so and so, like, this is all the respect, because even though we're not in a gym or in a dojo or whatever, the line of respect is always there. Like,
yeah,
like I'll even catch myself bowing sometimes. I'm like, because it's normal to me.
Again, I like to point out, it also depends on what the instructor wants, because if I ever started teaching a class regularly, I would feel a little weird if people called me master for ethnic reasons. But I think I would prefer coach. I'd be fine with coach, fine with just being addressed as Tom.
It's better being master than the alternative.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
Alternative to master?
Yeah. Oh.
What's the
yeah. That alternative. We all know how that played out. No. Oh God. All right. Cultural innuendo based jokes, the best. But yeah, what else was on your plate, Frankie? What else were you?
I think it was one of your posts, man. Like, honestly, that really turned on a switch. It was on your Instagram, like how some people go through depression and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that one like hit kind of home a little bit. I'm like, man, how many people that we train with are going through some stuff, man? Like, that really got to them. Like how do you approach somebody like that?
Well, this is going to get a little bit deep, and feel free to stop me.
No,
if either one of you thinks this is too deep, let me know.
Yeah.
Frankie, how long have you known me?
About 4 or 5 years, right? Maybe.
Has there ever been a point where you thought I was depressed while we were training?
Sometimes, yes. Yeah.
Ballpark.
Did
Ballpark. What percentage?
2-3%.
Per 2 or 3%?
Yeah.
Would you believe it's closer to 60?
Probably.
That's why I made that post, because there's a couple other guys that I train with who I'm like basically gym dad, right? And they tell me stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
Half the time I'm like, why are you telling me this? But I let them talk, and that was something that's been popping up a lot after COVID, where like there's guys that we train with, guys that are smiling in our face, and they're hurting. So that's why I made that post. It's like if there's something going on, and if you catch on that there's something not right, just check up on people.
Yeah.
It's really easy to hide, because I've trained for months with a smile on my face and there was something wrong, and I didn't want to bother anybody. But
yeah, I think that's a big issue too, man. Because like when my grandmother died and my father died, but wow, like it's like, man, like who can I reach out to that won't judge me,
Yeah.
And I always felt like that, like, oh, I'm gonna be judged, or I'm gonna be looked at weird, or I'm gonna be, laughed at or something like that.
Or people are like, toughen up or whatever.
Right.
I think especially with guys, there is this whole idea of, this whole idea of masculinity and what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to express your feelings.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff of what you're not supposed to do, which makes it really difficult for people to get out of that, state of mind of depression. Because like you're saying, you don't know who to talk to. People are going to judge you, that sort of thing. And I think like with jujitsu, like I've seen on a lot of the forums and the groups that I'm in, jujitsu groups, like a bunch of people say, hey, jujitsu literally saved my life, or, it helped me lose weight. I was like morbidly obese. It helped me lose weight. And, I think like what you were saying, Thomas, is the part about it's really easy to hide. I think when people gravitate to jiu-jitsu as a way to kind of deal with depression and other stuff going on in their life, they're in their safe space. So that's when you see them at their happiest. But outside of that, some people like jiu-jitsu is the thing that they do. That's the thing that makes them happy. But like outside of that, it's like their life could be a mess and you would never know, because you're only seeing a snapshot of their life,
Yeah. And like when I found out Frankie's father passed away, it was like months afterwards. I had no And just as I had issues mentally and nobody knew, that's not true. One person picked up on it like pretty consistently, but even she didn't even say anything until recently. So but
yeah, I mean, it comes down, because I've felt depressed sometimes, and when I train and whatnot, I think the pressure of training is what relieves that depression or that anxiety or whatnot. But how do you approach somebody like that? Like how do I approach, like, let's say Thomas, where you're going through something, like how do I approach it without me, like, how can I say this? So somebody approached me and it's like, oh, what's wrong? It's like, well, who are you to tell me like, who are you?
Honestly, I think it depends on the relationship you have with that person. Because I've checked up on some guys. I'm like, hey man,
you actually checked up on me one time, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
he's noticing.
Yeah, like I casual, depending on, again, your relationship with them. It's like, hey man, you good?
Yeah,
simple as that. If you let them, you give them the ball and you let them talk. If they're ready to talk, they'll talk. If not, wait a couple more weeks.
I think that's a good point about it. It depends on your relationship, because like you could go to one person and be like, hey, you good? And they're just like, yeah, I'm good. And you could go to another friend of yours and like, hey, you good? And like, hey, look, this is what's going on in my life, because they feel a lot more comfortable opening up to you.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, like consistently checking up on folks, you know.
Yeah. And I believe what you guys said in the last podcast, that it all starts in that beginning stage of like white belt too, you know, like building that relationship with that person, even though they might be whatever, but you still should always have that beginning relationship. Like how when me and Thomas first met, I was like, whoa, you know, like this is awesome, you know, because usually the way I meet people and how I became friends, like one of my best friends, me and him literally almost we sparred to like, and it was like a real fight, and then after that we've been best friends ever since. And that's how most of my relationships become with friends. Like, yo, we've gotten into like real serious sparring or fighting, and then we became best friends. And then once we come to sparring, it's like we know each other. Like it's like 5% sparring, you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I was gonna say, I just thought about something. So people deal with depression and stuff going on in their life in different ways. Like it expresses itself in different ways. And you know that one dude in the gym who's like super hyper aggressive and like, you know, always going 100%. I'm wondering if like, you know, something could be going on with them, but you just look at them as like, oh, that's just that person is just being an a-hole because they're just going 100%. So it's kind of question is kind of like how do you tell, is this person being an a-hole or is something else going on in their life that's causing them to kind of like act out this way?
You know, that's the hard thing, because it depends on the person, right? So there's one guy that we trained with a couple of years ago who was in the Army, and I was watching him because he was, you know, again, he had that white belt snappiness, but I can't remember exactly what he did, but he did something, and he had this really weird look on his face. And I was like, that's not normal. So I went and talked to him, and come to find out, yeah, his life was in shambles. And I sat there and talked to him for like a good 30 minutes. And I was like, man, if you need anything, let me know. I was like, I'll come over and cook, you know, because he was complaining that he was gaining weight. I was like, man, don't eat fast food. I'll come over and cook for you. And he was on the BJJ Facebook page, and then he shut his profile down and disappeared. And I got really worried about him because I didn't know, you know, did he hurt himself? Did he get in trouble? And then I saw him at the gym, and he said he was getting transferred somewhere else out of state. So I was like, okay. You know, and I told him, look, be good. If you have any trouble, go see a counselor.
Yeah.
You know, but
go ahead. I think it's that first ass whooping pretty much that you get from somebody that opens up so many doors. Like, hey man, like I'm sorry for, like, you just apologize and you just say, hey, listen, man, I'm not like this. I think we need to hang out more and talk more, and, you know, open him up to say, hey, I can trust this guy now. You know, like, what's the worst that we can do now? Because we already beat the hell out of each other. You know, it's like Thomas, if he's like, yeah, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you this time, and then out of nowhere, you're like, hey man, sorry about that, but you know, I had to do it. And that opens up a lot of doors and respect, you know.
You know, I try not to I try not to go too hard on people. Like, I try not to go all out, because I feel like there's a point that if there is something wrong with somebody, that kind of sets them off. Like, there's one guy that we're kind of dealing with right now at Pentagon who it's on everybody's radar, as I found out, but I think that there's something going on with him after watching him.
That's exactly why I was asking a question about, like, is this person being an a-hole or is something else? That's what it just clicked in my mind. I was thinking about him and I was like, is he being an a-hole, or is there something else going on with him? You know,
because I don't know if you noticed, but earlier he started like charging up his fists like this at people when he was on top, like when he was trying to pass the guard. He was getting frustrated. And I was like, that right there is not normal.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing grappling for, you know, jiu-jitsu 5 years, judo for 9 years. And whenever it came to any kind of guard play, I've never seen anybody charge up the fist like that. And I've never seen anybody get angry like he does. So I think that there's something going on with him. And I don't know if I'm at the point where I can actually talk to him about it, but I think maybe this week or next I'm going to sit down and talk to this guy, because he's doing a lot of stuff that's dangerous. He's pissing a lot of people off. So I'm worried that he might piss off the wrong person. And they might hurt him.
I think that what needs to happen in that situation would have to be you and whoever the master at that point in time. You pull him to the side, be like, hey, Lil, what's going on? Because this is what our concern. Because there has been a time, and there was a time where Master Sugi put me in check. So it was right in the beginning stages of me doing jujitsu, and I'm over here smack talking, because when I'm tired or when I'm like losing, I talk a lot of BS, because I like doing that mental warfare and getting people frustrated. So after the round was done, Master Sugi was like, hey, let me talk to you after class. I was like, okay. And he goes, you need to stop that. You need to stop BSing, because there'll be one day that there'll be a person that's actually really good, and he will not care what you're saying. He'll snap that arm right off. And ever since that, I was like, okay, now I gotta start learning my respects and who like the higher belts I need to respect. Stop talking smack,
Yeah.
Unless it's Thomas and we're Graham.
I actually don't mind smack talking as long as it's like playful, like hey Frankie, your mama, that kind of like dumb shit. But
because I know you're smack talking, and it's hilarious to me. But like people I don't know, when they start smack talking, for me, I'm just like, I'm at that age where I don't have time for this shit. So it's like, if you're smack talking and I know that you don't have the skills, or even if you do have the skills, I'm just gonna like, you know what? I don't need to deal with this. I'm not rolling with you again. So
So admittingly, I have to admit to something. I did something bad. There's a guy that we train with who his technique is very sloppy. I'll say that. And he did a technique that would have broken my arm if he completed it.
I think I remember this, but go ahead.
I went off on him in front of Master Sugi, in front of the class at Pentagon. And I didn't realize this, but I was giving him feedback on his technique regularly, like I do with just about everybody. And he took that as me complaining about him to his face. So he kind of like shot back at me, and we went back and forth for a couple seconds, and I realized this is not what a guy in his 40s should be doing versus a guy in his 20s. So I laid back, I backed off, and I was like, look, man, I'm just trying to help you. Like, and I told him that move that you did, if you would have completed it, would have snapped my arm at the elbow. And he did not understand it at all. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to get to him this way. So I just apologized, gave him a hug, said, we'll work it out. Don't worry about it. And I've been friendly to him ever since. But the reason why I bring that up is I'm wondering, perhaps there's something going on with him too. Because, the advice that I give him is, hey man, calm down. You don't have to use your full strength when you're doing this. Hey,
white belt.
He's not a new white belt. I'll talk to you specifically about who he is off cast. Yeah. But, I was just giving him the general advice that I give anybody. Right.
Yeah.
And then after that little confrontation happened, he ended up hurting like 3 other people.
Yeah.
To the point where I think he realized, oh, I actually am hurting people. But I haven't seen him since. But, A, I hope that he's okay. And B, I hope that he, after that last incident, he realizes he needs to listen to people's advice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it. I think a lot of stuff like that has to do with age, and I think it also has to do with the mentality people have coming into martial arts. Like for me, it's all about respecting, respecting people, basically respecting people who give you respect, and especially respecting your professors, respecting your training partners, even respecting people who are lower belt than you, because they can always teach you something, as cliche as it might sound. But that's, if you're coming into it with this whole mentality that you're gonna be like an MMA star or whatever, and you're just gonna go in there and wreck people, I'm not down with that kind of mentality.
No, we've had a couple guys who, honestly, I think every single guy outside of Nazar and folks who started on Muay Thai and actually did intend on going into MMA, every single younger guy that came in and said they wanted to be an MMA fighter, MMA professional, whatever, didn't last very long at all, like maybe a couple months. So
yeah, like when I first started Muay Thai, it wasn't because I wanted to fight, because I've always been like, when I was younger, street fights, that was my thing. I have the scars and broken teeth and blah 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 and whatnot. But when I came into Pentagon, I wasn't thinking of fighting anymore. I was just thinking of like, okay, this is some athletic, because I was bodybuilding pretty much, and I was just trying to step in there like, hey, this is something that I want to, maybe physical fitness wise, as another level, and it is. And I challenged myself, but yeah, I never tried to compete, and then they're pushing me to compete, so I compete. Yeah. But yeah, with those people, man, those people, you need to kind of whip them into shape, right?
Yeah. I mean, like for me, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to have any serious lifelong injuries. I just want to keep training until, hopefully until I die. So it's just like, I just avoid people like that. I don't have the time for it.
Yeah, I do wish I tried jiu-jitsu at a younger age. It's just nobody caught my attention. I wish Sugi would came around a little earlier.
So,
because I'm.
Go ahead.
Oh, so like my thing was, I was gonna do Muay Thai at a younger age, because this is where you need to be jumping around and kicking and punching, and then when I'm older, I could do jiu-jitsu. Wow, big mistake. Because I'm older now, and I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
On that note, do you think you would be able to do jiu-jitsu younger? Because honestly, in hindsight, I would not be able to.
No. Yeah. I as much as I say I wish I got into it when I was younger, I think that mentally, I think as an older person, getting into it as an older person, you're a lot more cautious, and and that saves you a lot of literal pain.
So I think I think jiu-jitsu is like more of a gentleman's sport. Like now it's like more like, okay, only wise men do jiu-jitsu now. Yeah.
There's some younger guys who haven't. Like, I give them credit. You can tell that they're in it for the long run. They're gonna have no problems. But just me personally, when I was younger, I had a very upfront anger issue. Like, if somebody pushed me just a little bit, I would snap at them. But it wasn't until I was older that I realized that wasn't good, and that would eventually get me in trouble.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why me and Thomas clicked a lot, man. I think I would see that. I'm like, man, he reminds me a lot like me.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the guy that I'm similar to more than any other person is this guy. Like, how did Frankie and me become so similar? But we're actually pretty different in a lot of ways too. But
oh yeah.
But yeah, like I don't think I would have been able to do jiu-jitsu long term in my in my 20s, even my early 30s, like 31, 32. I think I needed to start jiu-jitsu exactly when I did. Because I can think in hindsight, I can think about multiple situations where I would not have handled it very well. So that that could have escalated, and that would have just ended up very poorly. So And I've always said I always regretted not doing jujitsu earlier, but at the same time, I am perfectly happy when I did start it.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I hope that makes sense. But
Yeah, it definitely does.
yeah. So, what else you got on your plate, Frankie?
Cheap shots. Has anybody taken some cheap shots against y'all? Because I've had, when I roll, there's been some people that thrown some elbows and knees to my face. I'm like, okay, I'm used to this, but that's not cool, bro.
Yeah. I haven't gotten any cheap shots.
Really?
I mean, I get like the playful stuff, like, and because I know the people, one person in particular, and I know it's just kind of playful, and the worst it'll get is it'll just get annoying. But I don't think I've ever gotten any cheap shots before. But the thing too is, like, again, that's the kind of thing that would probably set me off, where you get a cheap shot on me. Well, okay, then I'm just gonna turn it up and let that submission sit a little bit longer. And then once I've proven my point, I'm not dealing with you anymore.
Yeah.
So the two worst that I've gotten was, I guess they were coming in for a knee and belly, but I was sitting up and I just took a knee straight to the mouth, and I looked at them, I was like, okay. And then I got angry. I was like, okay, I'm coming after you. And then that same person threw a straight up full out Muay Thai elbow, like on top of my eyebrow. I was like, am I bleeding? I'm gonna hurt you now. I was like, oh man, why? I'm like, why? And I don't want to say nothing. I'm like, maybe it was an accident, but I'm like, those were pretty. I've been around a lot of that. I'm like, that's legit.
That's when you switch to a stand up.
Yeah. It's like, stand up now.
Yeah.
No, for me, there's been a couple instances where there's been shenanigans going on that I would consider cheap shots. Like, I don't remember if you guys remember, but a couple years ago I had messed up both of my wrists, and I was always taping them up.
Yes.
And I would always start out a roll saying, hey, stay away from my damn wrists. Like, they're hurt. I type a lot. Please don't do any wrist locks or any of that nonsense. And without fail, at least once a month, there would be some, AH who would wrist lock me. And I'm like, did I not just tell you that my wrists are messed up already and ask you not to do anything to them? And it was this one guy in particular, and he'd always like prided himself on wrist locks. And I told him, don't effing touch my damn wrists.
I know who this is.
And he would always do it. He's like, oh, I didn't really like though. No.
It still means don't go for them.
Don't do it. And I actually just refused to roll with him after that. And I was like, nah, I'm good. But there was one time I had to roll with him, and I just dead fished. I was like, nah, I'm good. Even to the point where Ed, you remember Ed? You guys remember Ed?
Yeah.
He was
Who doesn't remember Ed?
Yeah, he walked over and he looked at me, and he gave me his "Are you okay?" look, and I was just like, "I'll talk to you about it later." Yeah, but like just the little wrist lock that he did on my right wrist, like I almost had to go to the doctor about it. Like my wrists are already wonky, and it hurt so bad that when I would type, I would get like sharp pains that would shoot up all through my hand. So, I just taped them up. I ended up using a brace, and it went away, and like it got better in about 2 weeks. Like I didn't get the pains anymore, but still I was just like, no. 20-year-old Thomas would have just punched him square in the effing mouth. So going back to the other conversation, that's why I'm glad I started when I did. So awesome. But yeah, there was that, and in competition, somebody picked me up out of full guard and slammed me. And that's definitely a cheap shot.
Really? I saw Nazar do that like I think it was a judo throw, man. It just slammed the dude in the ground, man. I'm like, Jesus, that dude must be in so much pain right now.
From full guard? Like you just picked him up and slammed it? Or did he do a judo throw? Oh man.
Oh no. I gotta rewatch it. I think it was a judo throw, but man, that dude was not right after that. his soul left the body. I could see it. I was like,
I respect a good judo throw. Like I will give you respect for that, even though I'm hurting and all of that. I will give you respect for that. Like I've done like drops in agi during competition, and afterwards I came up to the guy. I was like, that was a good that you hit that clean, you know. But if it's just straight up slamming, I'm like, no.
So quick story about that Sugi fight. He did a judo throw with me with boxing gloves. I didn't see it come. For some reason, I did not see it coming. I thought we were going for a clinch, and he just judo threw me and just, dude, I was like, and then I told myself, get up, and I got up, but I was still like,
did he do it? Did he do a shoulder throw on you? I think I remember.
I don't know what the hell it was, but all I remember was I was up and then I was down.
Yeah. Oh, it
was crazy. I was like, you have boxing gloves on. How did you get a hold of me?
I think, well, if it was a shoulder throw, I could see him doing it with boxing gloves on.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's how you can tell that Sugi not only likes you, but is comfortable with you when he starts like,
throwing you around,
pulling the magic out, so to speak. You know,
we gotta get Sugi on here, man. That'd be great.
Actually, what my plan was to get him and Jordan on here after Worlds is over, so we could talk to him about that.
Oh yeah, when's that? The 6th, I think.
Oh, is it the 6th?
I think so. Sugi was telling me about it. Why? What's up?
I was planning to go down to Georgia on the 6th.
Well, I mean, they're fighting on the 6th, I think, and then.
So do I need to? Oh well, either way, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I was planning on having them after World, so we could talk to them about it, like see what their experiences were. I thought that would be a good show.
I think actually it says 11 to 13.
And that's only like master level, right? You got to be like black belt and higher or something.
No, it's 30 up.
Oh, 30 up. Oh,
no, like I think it's age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day.
Have y'all sparred with Master Mia at all?
Yes.
Not he did that. He did that judo throw on me too. That son of a gun. Those guys hurt.
Yeah.
And you know the funny thing is that's their like what 10%.
Yeah, that's
them, dude.
That's them being polite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've rolled with I've sparred with Master Mia, but only in jiu-jitsu, like only on the ground.
Yeah.
I fear doing judo with him, like anything on the
feet. You never done like Randori with him?
No, heck no.
I have. I mean, he was going light, but it's still, it still hurt.
His sons are, if his sons are any indicator, no thank you.
Do they go to Chantilly also?
Huh?
Yeah.
They go to Chantilly.
Yeah.
So I was training his oldest son. You could actually I have TikTok videos about it. Yes, I do TikTok. I'm sorry. But his oldest son, man, the work ethic on that boy is insane, man. He's so. I feel like he's like his dad, man. He's just go, and then when I tell him to do it, he does it, and he doesn't complain. He just does it, man. And I'm like, me and him have an awesome relationship too. Me and his son, his oldest, and the language barrier is very, very tough, but you basically don't even need it, man.
Yeah,
dude, you gotta learn Mongolian.
Yeah, well, on their Facebook chat, man.
Yeah,
I wish they had a translator. I'm like, yo, I wish I could understand what they're saying, man.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of like a cultural that high work ethic and so I wonder if it's a cultural thing because a lot of the Mongolian fighters, it's just, it's just another level when it comes to martial arts.
I think it is. Like, their wrestling period is part of their culture. So becoming a high level wrestler is something, they train when they're really young at. And that carries over to judo, jiu-jitsu, sambo, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, just culturally, if they like you, they make sure you're involved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His
Like,
youngest is Master Mia's youngest is.
He's pretty solid. Yeah.
And Master Suki's too, man. His oldest.
Jimmy,
He's a beast too, man.
it's like rolling with a tiny Sugi.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
You see him, it just looks like him.
It looks exactly like him, but miniature.
Yeah.
So but yeah, them Mongolians, man, like it's a very interesting culture. Like, they could murder you and not care, but if they like you, you are in. Like, they'll make sure you're included. They want you to come around.
Lunches, dinners, drinks.
Birthdays.
Yeah.
Holidays. They want you. They want you in.
The birth of their first child.
It's like, oh, my first child's being born. Please come.
Yeah.
But they will have somebody translate to make sure you're not left out. And I'm like,
yeah. But dude, they're so nice, man. They're so nice.
But so deadly. Like,
so deadly.
I do not want to piss one of them off, because I feel like all of them would come after you.
Yeah.
But I gotta make it up to Chantilly.
Yeah, that community is tight, man. Really tight.
Yeah.
The Mongolian community is.
So one of my neighbors, whose sons plays with my sons, I was looking at my phone at the bus stop where our kids get picked up, and it was a picture of me and Suki I was looking at, and the boy's mom walks over and she goes, "Oh, Suldi." I was like, "Suldi?" And she goes, "Yes, that's Suldi." I was like, "Sugi?" She goes, "Yes, Sugi. He's my countryman." And come to find out, the boy, that family that my sons play with, they knew Master Sugi.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you know him?" And then the next time I saw her, she said, "Oh yes, I asked him about you. He said that you're his best friend." And I was like, "Oh."
best punching bag.
Yeah. Like, perhaps punching bag is in more.
Yeah. Maybe there's a translation lost in translation there.
Sugi knocked me out twice, man. That was crazy. Twice.
I saw once where you almost went out, but I didn't know he knocked you out twice.
So the first time he was supposed to fight, he knocked me out, and then the second one I was like, yeah, no, I'm done here, man. You're giving me 100% every time.
Yeah, so during his MMA fight, me and Oluwole both have stories. Like, he walked over to me, he's like, "Hey, Tom." I was like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "If I do this," and he grabs my leg and puts me in 50-50. He goes, "How would you get out of this?" And I showed him. I was like, "Am I gonna get my leg ripped off? Am I good?" I was like, started fearing for my life. And he was like, "Okay, thank you." He walks off. And Wale, go ahead and tell your story.
So for me, like, right before his MMA match, I think I was like, it was open mat, so I was like rolling with some folks, and I was sitting on the side, and then he comes up to me. He's like, "How tall are you?" I was like, 6 feet. It's like, "Oh, okay. How much do you weigh?" And I was like, back then I was like 180 something, and I told him. He's like, "All right, let's spar." And this dude just like, I mean, he was going light, but it was not a good experience for me. Like, I was completely gassed, and he just kept on going, and it's just like light sparring for him, but I was trying to keep up. But come to find out, he was sizing me up because his competition was about the same height and weight as I was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always it's interesting to have somebody that high level around you, and it's also interesting when you realize that he's going easy, and his easy is still a nightmare. Like, I can't. I don't know about you guys, but he is so high level that I cannot fathom going all out on him because I can't. Like I'm reserving my energy from just surviving, what he's doing.
My all out is his warm up.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So
I think the best of Sugi is like when he's just going against like some other black belt. You just gotta just sit back and admire. That's about it.
Yeah.
Like don't try to get into that mix.
yeah. So, when him and Steve, do you remember? Do you guys remember Steve?
Yeah.
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 The first time they went at it at Open Mat, like everybody just stopped and watched.
I remember that day.
Yeah, it was like watching a ball of death just circle around the mat.
Like in the cartoons where cats fight, or it's that ball of dust going around. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen him go that hard since. At Master Dollars, he's rolling with a lot of brown belts that when I'm there, and he's still kind of like holding back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But when I heard that Master Dollar was telling me that when Muhammad Ali was there, they went at it like hard. And I'm sad I missed it because I was supposed to go that night, but I didn't. But I hope somebody has that on on video. So I want to have a copy of that so we can review it on here.
I'm pretty sure there's some like secret videos or whatever of these high level masters just going at it, man. Just like, because there is a video where you can see Master Dala in competition, man. I saw that video.
Yeah.
In Brazil.
When he was younger.
Yeah.
So
that went out for a good minute too. That was like a 25-minute roll, I think.
Yeah, I think he was doing like a no time limit match or sub only.
But there was no gi.
Yeah, it was. Is that the one where he was just wearing trunks, black trunks?
I think so.
I think so. Or I think he was wearing white gi pants, but no shirt.
I don't remember seeing that one.
It was in Brazil or something. You could tell it was some like underground stuff.
Yeah. So, Oluwole, did you have a topic you wanted to cover?
No, just I enjoy these talks. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think maybe at some other time, maybe covering the topic of staying in the game at our age. Things y'all do to do that.
I actually have done some mini videos on that exact same topic. I think we could do like a whole conversation about it.
Yeah, we can do that next time.
we can cue that for when you're able to join next. We can do that.
Yeah.
All right, Frankie, did you have another topic you wanted to go over?
Man, I can go on and on with topics, man, and we could go 3-4 hours all in the wee hours of the night. But I think we should leave it to another time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, last thoughts. Wale, go ahead.
I mean, I think seeing the promotions today, I was proud of everybody who got promoted, and it just reminded me that and I saw Coach Isaac that I haven't seen in a while, and he was like telling me he's glad to see that I'm sticking with it, and I told him, hey, I hope to continue till I'm old and until I can't do this anymore. So it's just I gotta say I love jiu-jitsu, and I'm glad I finally found it at whatever age. So yeah.
All right, Frankie, last thoughts.
Just reach out to your people that you think that are going down a mentally bad path or something like that, and hopefully I can still continue this journey on this jiu-jitsu, and hopefully I can get up to blue belt. That's my goal, hopefully by next year. And
I'm glad you're rolling like full time and you're really enjoying it. So yeah.
Oh, speaking of rolling, I have some gis for you because I'm losing too much weight. My A3s are.
I don't
feel like
fit
I'm swimming
A3s. I'm still at A4.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that later. All right,
Mm-hmm.
gentlemen, it was fun. I'll have this posted on YouTube probably tomorrow or the next day. This will go up unedited. I don't like editing
that's cool, man.
the podcast. So I will see you all next time, and be safe, laugh often, and make sure that everybody is safe.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Sure. Later, guys.
All right. See ya.
Oh, wait, pause.